I think NFT projects should challenge the norms a lot. That's what I want to do, and that's what I have been doing. I want to change the way that NFTs are marketed, and I want to explore different areas of how we can do the same thing, because just because someone else did it one way doesn't mean that's the only way to do it.
So welcome everyone to another episode of Who's Got Clout here with, my name is Mark Bentley, tuning in from Perth, Western Australia, and I have my partner in Mischief, Alex Roken, who is tuning in from over in Europe and keeping the news from the creator economy and Web3 alive while the rest of the world goes crazy. And today we have a very special guest, because those who have been following the show will know for the last year we've been doing a lot of conversations and looking into decentralized socials and the DeSo blockchain and the creators, NFT makers, and everyone else that's been working on that blockchain. Today we've got a really special guest, Caleb Roberts, who's coming from outside of that blockchain and really doing some amazing things with an NFT project that he's put together, which I'm not going to spoil the surprise yet. There's a lot of cool things that are going to come up in this conversation I think you'll find fascinating, so stick through to the end. And we really wanted to start bridging out into the other blockchains and really start creating those bridges between communities and start seeing and learning from what everyone else is doing and keep this movement going forward. So without further delay, I would love to invite the wonderful Caleb Roberts. How are you, my friend? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing good. Love everything Web3 blockchain podcast.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Now, I got to say, Caleb, first thing off the bat, I love everything I've seen of your work. So I'm just a little bit disappointed you don't have a little microphone with me right now.
Oh, I have it right here. I got it right here.
There it is. So for those that have seen Caleb's TikTok, and if you haven't seen it, then check him out on TikTok. I'll throw the handle here. And it's one of those things, Caleb, I love. It's almost like TikTok, you kind of need to have a little something, a little gimmick or something.
I know, yeah, you gotta brand it. Yeah, I was thinking of using it in my YouTube videos that I'm trying to start filming. I was like, why not bring it over to YouTube also?
Well, the first step in, we've just given them a little sneak peek. So awesome. So now you, my friend, so Caleb, getting a bit of background for those who haven't come across your work before, because you're a very unique character, and that's my favorite kind of character in this world. And you come from a very interesting background, which we'll get on in a second. It's an amazing story. But what would you say? How do you position yourself if someone says, what do you do? Because I know right now this is such a strange world for many. How do you explain what you do for the world?
Like my job full time?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a TikTok and NFT marketing consultant.
Beautiful.
Currently, yes.
Yeah. So I saw that on the website, the NFT marketing agency, and so this is something that right now we've got so many people out there punching out NFTs. It's a new thing. There's millions coming out, and it really does seem that one of the big challenges is getting seen and getting it out there. And so that's right. Essentially what you mean by NFT marketing, working with teams to help them get out there.
Yeah, basically, yeah. People just don't, they severely underestimate how much it takes to have raving fans that spend hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars on an NFT. And especially if you have no followers. I just think a lot of people think it's like a gold rush. So they come to me and my company, and then it ends up being a 6-figure budget just to, make 2 times the amount of money that they want to make. So
you bring a little bit of that realism to understand what's actually going on here. Yeah,
absolutely.
No, fantastic. So, and really just diving straight in. And by the way, to the viewers, my lights are playing up today. I've got smart lights. They're not as smart as I thought. So if you see me going in between light and not light, I think someone's messing with my lights in the house, and I'll chat with them later. I'm going to call in your cult, Caleb. So, all right, fantastic. So now, yeah, like you say, I mean, this is something that I've seen as well, Caleb. As we mentioned before the show, we spent a lot of time with DeSo, decentralized socials, and which had a controversial beginning with Clout, and since then has really matured, and the NFT community that's growing there is really doing some amazing things. And it was something that I saw was my own process with it as a new person into NFTs. I'd been around blockchain for a long time, but watched how easily it was to get so excited about the hype of something and then it just blows over, right? The NFT project goes quiet, everyone kind of settles down, and then that's done. And it made me start realizing, hang on a second, that doesn't seem so sustainable. And then I started seeing some amazing projects, like we've got Medizins and a few others on the project that started expanding out. And that made me understand, hang on, there needs to be value here. There needs to be function, there needs to be community. And that's when we came across your project. And this is something that I want to spend a bit of time talking on today is, what you've created with your NFT project and, talking a little bit about what are those key ingredients that make it different from what the masses out there that are pumping. So to start with, do you want to just let everyone know what the name of your NFT collection is?
Yeah. So I guess the group is called the Mark of the Beasts, and then the first collection is the 66 Witnesses.
The 66 Witnesses. I like
Yes.
this. And by the way, we're going to have right now, there should be a link under here. Check it out because you have done an amazing job on that website. It's very sexy. And make sure, everyone, when you heard Caleb say that, the mark of the beast, I almost felt like the collective sphincter tighten up a little bit. And, take a deep breath and actually go
Yeah.
visit Caleb's website and read what he has shared there. But we'll give you a little preview here. So how did this come about, Caleb? How did you end up with an NFT collection with devil horns on it?
Yeah. So I guess it starts when I was a Mormon. I used to be a Mormon, and I was a good Mormon. I was a missionary for 2 years. I speak Dutch because I lived in the Netherlands and Belgium, and did my time. And then my ex-wife, she waited for me the whole time, and then we got married in the Mormon temple almost
Wow.
immediately, right after I turned 21. And then I had a son with her, and then we both left the Mormon church together. And I guess a big part of my life has been, or so far has been, coping with leaving a cult. And
Mm,
I don't personally believe in the imagery that I've been taught my whole life, but I do like how edgy the imagery is and how scary it seems to be to people who believe in it. Because to me, I like Vikings, whatever mythological things, and to me, the Bible is the one I know the best because I was taught
mm-hmm.
it and I studied it, and I taught people about it my whole life and on my mission. That it's the one that I can make the most jokes about. So I wanted to do something crazy where I just come up with some crazy idea that maybe will get a lot of PR, and that was to create an NFT tattoo. And so I was brainstorming this idea for like 6 months, and I was like, how do I do this? Do I put a barcode on my arm, or that links to the smart contract? What do I do? And so then I went to NFT NYC and I met up with a bunch of people, and they were telling me about how barcodes aren't going to technically work with this. And then I started looking more into biohacking, and I saw that you could get a chip, an NFC chip, and you could program it to go to wherever site you wanted to. So then I got one installed in my hand, and after I started telling people about it, like, oh, that's the mark of the beast. And I was like, you know what? This is a lot like the mark of the beast. I like that. So I decided to embrace that imagery and call my community the mark of the beasts, because I do want to have other people get chipped eventually and have tattoos and put my NFTs on their body. And
Mm,
because that's another thing is everyone, it seems to be that NFT or tattoos have to mean something, but they can't just look good. And I like them for both reasons. I think they can look good, and I think they can mean something, but we can always get tattoos just for the fun of it and for the edginess of it. And I think that's fun. And a lot of the imagery of the website also is inspired by um, Mormon Caleb when he was a teenager, and how he couldn't fully be like alternative rocker,
Ah,
emo type guy. So that's where you'll see a lot of the imagery come from. Also, is in like the old stickers. We have all these stickers that we custom created, and um, that comes straight from that time of not being truly who I was. Because now, I mean, if you look back on my Facebook, you can see me going to Disney World with my ex-wife and my son, and you can see how much of a dad I was at just 24 years old. And then
mm,
now I have piercings or whatever, and I have tattoos in the sleeve, and I try and I am a different person completely. Like, I know if I saw myself, I would be surprised at who I am now, and what I like to listen to, or the people I like to hang out with. And so it's kind of like paying homage to who I used to be and what I wanted to be when I couldn't.
yeah, yeah. I'm hearing you loud and clear on that, Caleb. It's something that got me a bit excited when Alex said, "Hey, check out this guy Caleb," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm checking it out," and I'm looking at it, and one of the things that really did touch me and that I love Caleb is, because before I was into blockchain, I was all about, helping people find purpose in life, right? And a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
find that through kind of what I would call synthetic means like religion and different things that kind of take the place of an authentic, genuine purpose. And one of the things I've learned through my life is that you don't find your purpose unless you make a few mistakes, unless you stretch, unless you try, unless you get creative and willing to fuck up. And that's something that I could really feel, like you've just explained so beautifully, and I could feel in your NFT project was it was almost like, that cartoon like joy of this, the kind of, satanic expressions, but it's like actually using that, right, to bust open
Yeah.
that mental cage, to be able to explore and to play and to have fun again and to break the narratives and the norms. And so with you with getting the speaking of tattoos, the old bit clout tattoo, I was one of the
Yeah.
crazies
Yeah.
and still am. But
Oh
the mark,
shit.
as you were saying, like, with putting. So for those that didn't hear, Caleb, you have the chip in your hand, right?
I do. Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
So now
Right there.
I think
Yep.
this is right there. And for those that want to see it, I saw it, Caleb. You've got the video of it going in. It's a little bit edgy for someone that doesn't love needles. But you got your dad to do it too,
Yes,
right?
I did. Yep. Yep.
You mad bastard.
He was.
So,
Yeah.
but this is quite symbolic, right, of cryptocurrencies and blockchain and all these things that are going on. Of the real issue, that I'm finding when it comes to all this kind of stuff is not so much the technology, but who gets to control the technology. Trusting those who control the technology. So in this case, where people could be so like freaked out by a chip, you're the one that put the chip there. You're the one that's in control of that chip and has it. So it's an interesting action. So
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's more centralized in nature too, because what I am is a physical NFT, but I am the custodian holding the NFTs that can be bought. Eventually, I plan on auctioning off some of my NFTs that I have in my arm, but it will be a centralized location too, so I control it, and I am the custodian of the artwork that you buy.
that's a really interesting concept. Like actually connecting the body to these NFTs and starting to play in this digital world where going into the metaverse, just don't let Zuckerberg get hold of that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. All right. So, and this jumping onto the Mormon thing for a little bit here, because this is something I remember. God says no with a light.
Yes.
Going to the Mormons, I remember I had a guy that used to come and do the property. I was living down south and he'd mow the lawns, and he was a Mormon and super sweet guy, used to have lovely conversations, but it was almost like you could feel the cages that you couldn't go past and couldn't move past.
Hmm.
So what are were there some good experiences and good things you got from that you still take on into your life today and where you're going from that experience with the Mormons?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I want to make it clear that I don't hate Mormons. I hate the organization in general. I hate what it does to people, and I think Mormons. I mean, we're taught to be nice people. I was taught
Yeah.
to be a nice person and to be emulate what Christ would be. And I think Mormons take that a little bit further than most, because they're really just innocent people. Like, to the core, I was like an eighth generation Mormon before I left the church. And it was just
Wow.
passed down. It's like who you are all throughout your life. And if it's all you know, you really can't blame people for staying, and you can't blame people for what they don't know either, because you're
Mm.
indoctrinated not to look at anything else. So yeah, like most of my friends are still Mormon, and I I think the most pivotal experience of my life was going on my mission. That's where I really learned how to do marketing. That's where I learned how to do sales. And I wasn't your typical missionary either. I really hated knocking doors, because I could tell how
Mm.
annoying it was to
Yeah.
people, and I could feel for them. So instead, what I would do is I would go to other churches. I would go to mosques and Judaism, the synagogues, and I would go to Catholic churches or private Bible study groups. And I even got to preach at another church once, because I was like, yeah, I mean, I could preach. You guys let me preach at an evangelical church. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to understand people instead of coming at them and going like, here's my religion. I came to them and I was like, here's where we meet in the middle, so we don't always have to be combative. And I also noticed in Europe, people really like showing Americans what they're missing out on in terms of food. So I would always ask people from other countries to just make their favorite food for me, invite me over. And so I'd schedule food dinner appointments with them. And then when you come with a setting of just learning about someone else, they automatically feel reciprocal in how they want to learn about you. And my only goal as a Mormon missionary was to be the coolest Mormon they had ever met. Not necessarily baptize them, but just make sure they have a good taste in their mouth when it came to that. And it just taught me how to understand people. It taught me another language, taught me another culture. It showed me that there was something outside of conservative
Mm.
Texas, and that I could learn people's cultures and just learn how they function. And so yeah, that was the most pivotal experience in my life, and I know for a fact that's why I'm successful today, is because I use that to my advantage. Those two
Yeah.
years learning how to be an adult and live by extremely strict rules, and how to deal with the pressure of sales, I guess. And it was really important for me to do that.
Yeah. Wow. That's genuinely the most inspirational tale I've heard from people that have come out of religion that have still maintained the connection and the beauty of it. Because so many, they just cut and run and they burn the house down and then they get lost in the madness of the real world and sales, marketing. I mean, people, it's a cringe word. I used to hate sales. I used to hate this concept, and then realize how arrogant that is. That in the end, sales is being able to truly, like you're saying, right? Truly listen. Is this a product that person needs? Does it suit them? Because if it doesn't, don't sell it to them. Because then you're the
Yep,
snake oil salesman, right? Which which
exactly.
which is interesting as a Mormon and moving around with religion and selling that in a sense from those experiences. So it's amazing to hear how even there you were innovating and thinking of new ways and changing the marketing game in that. And hope you didn't give them too many secrets because it might spread too fast then, Caleb.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, missionaries are now allowed to have iPads, and I was not. So
Yeah,
who
right.
knows? I do know that they're using social media now. So
Well, it's all
good
coming
luck to
together.
them, I
You,
guess.
Right. I mean, I think even what you're saying here, like we're going between the churches and connecting with others. I mean, it's something that I believe in is we don't need to convince each other of right and wrong. You and I can sit together, have a conversation, completely disagree, and still be friends. And you know,
Absolutely.
right. So coming to that, you said that most of your friends are still Mormon. How did they take this change? And how did what triggered the change to move from like what was that moment that kind of made it
Yeah.
happen? How did
So
that go down?
I read, they call it anti-Mormon material when you read anything that says anything bad about the church. Doesn't matter if it's true or not. It's just anti-Mormon. So
Hmm.
I had always studied that because I don't know, like I came from a Baptist town in Texas, and I had always heard about that stuff, and I wanted to know the answers before people asked the questions. So
Mm.
because I knew if they asked a question that surprised me, then I would look like the idiot. So I would look at anti-Mormon material and I studied it and just briefly, just so I could come up with the answers, or I would look up a Mormon apologist that would explain those questions. And I'd been married for 3 years at that point, and my ex was like, "Yeah, I think I'm just gonna research a bit more," and she is like a super deep researcher, like avid researcher. She'll read peer reviewed studies for what groceries she would buy at the grocery store. So she went deep into it and started reading books and books and books. And so there was a point where I was like, yeah, well, watch out. It gets kind of sketchy when you get too deep. And so then there was a point where she'd be like, yeah, well, have you heard of this? And I was like, yeah, I've heard of it. And then it got to the point where she was telling me things I hadn't heard of. And I was already kind of having they call it a faith crisis, where you start questioning everything. And it was more about death and what Mormons think about death. And I just didn't believe in what they were saying. And I'd come to the conclusion, I was like, well, I mean, I don't care if I don't believe anymore. I think it's a good organization to live in and just raise my son in. So even if I don't believe eventually, I'm still probably going to stay. And that was really the catalyst, is if the Mormon church is good enough for my son, and if I can still grow him up in the ways that I grew up and still believe that it's going to make him into a good person. And it was just these two things. There's two pieces of doctrine that like changed for me, where in the Mormon church, you don't believe that you're going to go to it. There's no like straight shot to heaven. And so then I found out early back in the day of Mormonism, they used to do this thing called the calling and election. It's your calling and election to be get your straight shot to heaven, and they did it for everyone back in the day. It wasn't just your local bishop, your local leader of the church. You could apply for it, and anyone could get it. And then eventually, somewhere in history, it only became good enough for prophets and apostles.
Hmm.
And they still do it today, but you can only get it if you're referred to by a prophet or an apostle, which that means it's only 15
Wow.
people that can actually get it or actually authorize you to get it. And so that just went against everything I believed, because I didn't even know about this secret doctrine that was still happening. And I just think, like, in heaven, you go there and then you go, hey, well, Bessie, she got lucky. It was in the 1800s, and she got to do this one doctrine thing that was allowed back then. And I just
She was on
didn't.
the
That, to
whitelist.
me, yeah, like, she got lucky early before the rules changed, and that just doesn't make
Mm.
sense to me. How God would think like that, because he goes, yeah, well, you're allowed, but 50 years later, only these guys got good, and whoever I viewed God to be just wouldn't do that. And then the Mormon church has always dealt with racism and not letting uh, black people have the priesthood, which is the power of God to heal and to bless, and only men get it in the church. And they kept on. I'd been indoctrinated my whole life to say, like, we just don't know. It was the prophet, and one day he said it was good and they could have it. And then my ex had found this document that said, like, black people will never get the priesthood because they are cursed people, and that's why their skin is black, and it will stay black, and they will be lucky if any of them ever get to the highest level of heaven in Mormonism. And there was another document that was just like whitewashed. It was like erased from history, but it's kept by historians. And at that point I was like, I'm fucking out, bro. Like, I can't do
Mm.
this. I don't want to do this. And I decided before my ex did, because I had already deconstructed my faith, and it was just like one last thing that really needed to push me over the edge. And so those last two that she and I were talking about were really it. And the more I deconstructed, the more I realized the organization is a lot like a narcissist in how they abuse people and
Mm.
gaslight them. And so yeah, that's how it happened. And my ex and I both left the church together eventually, and we told our friends and family. And there was a tiny bit of like people who were like trying to say, like, well, I can prove you wrong, and whatever you say, I'll tell you the reason why it's that way. And hoping to get me back, but most everyone just messaged us both and said that they love us and they want to still be our friends, and
Oh,
that they really care for us, and that was nice. So
that's awesome.
yeah, like
No, that's
it's
great to
mostly
hear.
older Mormons that are strict, but younger Gen Z millennial Mormons are pretty lax in understanding because they know it's not a white and black world.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's starting to sounds like the decentralization process is sneaking into everything right now,
Yes,
right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and even and I think this is like, you're a walking example of what's so important as we go forwards is getting rid of this and that, or like, no, you believe that you can't be here. So yeah,
Hmm.
beautiful. Okay, so I really wanted to just get that backstory because I think it's such a vital part for leading into understanding, the beauty of what you're bringing with this NFT project. See, even the gods agree with the line.
Yeah, I see
so,
that.
so from there, you've started up the NFT project, and what are some like? One of the things that hits me straight away is you do a lot of work, on TikTok, etc. Really talking about what makes an NFT project good or not. And one of the things that you've definitely tapped on is community and building a community. And I think, straight off the bat, I can see how all of that experience you had in the Mormon. I mean, you even said it that you were willing to stay within the Mormon group and community if you could find enough integrity within it, right? That you didn't have to believe it. You enjoyed the community, and that says a lot about how important a community is to hold people there. That even if you didn't believe, you would still consider being there to raise your son. So it makes sense that everything you've learned from there is going to be such an asset for what you're building in the NFT world and what you can bring there. Because if you can create that same experience of feeling connected in community and NFT projects, then it would make sense that that project's going to go well. So now moving on to that. That was just my observation I just wanted to share from your story and from what I've been checking out and loving about it. But what are some of the things, when you started this NFT project, what are some of the things that you feel are the keys to making an NFT project successful that you've been implementing in your own?
I think I think people should, when I see NFT projects right now, people, I don't see them treating them like investors. And I deal with pitch decks all the time. And when a pitch deck comes out, you got to tell the investor everything that they are getting into to give you their money. And it doesn't seem like people are they're like, yeah, here's a little bit, we'll sprinkle a little info right here. You
Yeah.
just wait till till we give you more. And that's not being fair to people in my opinion. That's not really being honest, because if you truly believe they will be your community, then you shouldn't have a problem being completely open in what your future plans are and who you are and everything. I feel like it should be completely see-through in terms of what you're doing. And there should be like surprises, sure, but nothing like too crazy where people think it's like, oh, well, this isn't what I invested in. And I mean, we all heard about Pixelmon. That's the whole issue here is everyone thought they were getting something different and they didn't get it. And
Mm,
that's what I don't want at the end of the day. So, I tried doing that with my mind map, my ecosystem of what is included in my NFT, and it's meant to be researched. It's meant to be questioned, and you should ask me questions. You should
mm,
go, well, who is this Caleb guy? And I shouldn't be offended by that. And I should be as open as I need to be. And so I've tried to make myself accessible to people. I've tried to be commenting back at them. I've tried to be open about my pricing and what exactly they get out of it. And yeah, I just think that's one of the main things that I try and do is be as open as possible. And also another thing is I think I want to I think NFT projects should challenge the norms a lot. That's what I want to do, and that's what I have been doing. I want to change the way that NFTs are marketed, And I want to explore different areas of how we can do the same thing, because just because someone else did it one way doesn't mean that's the only way to do it.
Right.
And like I'm changing over from Discord to Facebook groups because I paid $20,000 to learn how to create a Facebook business group business, and I've done it. I did it 2 years ago when I was first on TikTok, and I have an old group with 2,000 members about TikTok ad agencies and TikTok ads, and I want to try something else. It's all just a test. It's all just a way of seeing if we can actually change it, or if it's really just cemented into this one way of doing it. Like, we have to use whitelist, we have to use Discord, we have
Mm.
to pay someone to be on Discord 24/7. Do we have to use developers, or can we use just marketplaces if you plan on doing that? Do we have to use a DAO? And like, we can look at everything, and I want to challenge that and see what's possible. So that's what I've personally been doing.
That's awesome. That's even because, you know, for me, I feel self awareness is one of the most important concepts that we need on the planet. If we can get more self awareness on the planet, we can get a lot further where we go from here. And it's just watching my own reaction, even as you said, moving to Facebook. Right, I watched my personal reaction from my personal trauma experiences of like over connection, overreach with this whole. And I watched, as you're saying, Discord to that. It's almost like the degen in me kicks up and goes, "Hey!" But then
Yeah.
you're right. You're right, Caleb. It's like I mean, how can we move forward? How can we have any ideas of ever entering a world of peace if we think we know the answers? If we think we know how things need to be just because of a momentary experience that got us this far. And so and this is something of, when you talk about Facebook, I deleted my Facebook account permanently when I
Yeah.
moved to DeSo. And it was, to BitClout back in the day. And it was because for me, it was a symbol of liberation away from these social media platforms that were. But now I have I started a Facebook account again. So I threw away 9,000 followers that I had on there. And now I'm starting from
Yeah.
scratch again. And as I'm starting from scratch, I'm realizing the tool wasn't the problem. The company wasn't the problem. It was my expectations. It was the way that I was using it. Is the way that I was
Yeah.
kind of that entitlement. And so now I'm kind of approaching it realizing, well, if we want to reach the mainstream masses, if we want to reach people and start actually bringing people over into these communities, into these worlds, then that degen community, the Discord community, that's awesome for those that are into that are already predisposed to that way of
Yep.
life. So it's interesting to hear, and I love that you're willing to challenge everything. And I guess that came from the fact that you know what it's like to be in a cult.
Yes.
You know what it's like to be in a place where you're not allowed to do that, right?
You're right. Yeah, exactly. And that's how I run. I mean, my main goal is really just get as many NFTs to as many people as possible. And I am a part owner in a huge agency where we do retail, where we bring any product from e-commerce to retail. And the politics of doing that is insane. And I have to write the scripts that we put on HSN and QVC, and I have to find a way to sell these products that we put research and development into, and sell it to the masses of everyone's grandma and mom. And my whole goal is to make it as easy as possible for anyone to get into NFTs. And I really think that's physical NFTs. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
I did this, as a way of my dedication into that mission. But also, my project is going to be a case study that I use for my clients in proving that we can do this. And I ran my own research on my audience. I saw that it was mostly beginners in NFTs, and they're mostly people who are new to it, and they're on Solana, and they probably don't have big budgets. So I need to create a website that's easy for them to do it on instead of OpenSea. I need to create a community place that they'll see more often, that they feel safer about. I need to offer them education. So these are all things that I'm working on in the meantime, because I want to build it out first before I replicate the process and hopefully make changes to the marketing world. But you have to learn. Like, to assume I'd be right in my first project is stupid. So that's why I did it. And if you saw how I marketed it, within a week, I just did my marketing. My first week, I was like, hey, here's my project, blah, blah, blah. I posted 10 videos, got 50,000 views that same week. And then I got 3 purchases. I didn't even sell my first 6 that I launched, because I launched 6 every week. And that wasn't a big deal to me, but it would be to everyone else in the NFT community. I think that's amazing. Off of 100 Discord members, that conversion rate. And so now we can learn from our mistakes, and I can, instead of just waiting 6 months and going like, oh my God, I hope it sells out. I hope I
Yeah.
make $1 million overnight. Let's just learn as we go, because that's how it should be. And that's the
Hmm.
only way I can learn how to make sure and sell it to other people the same way I sell retail products to anyone.
Mm. And I think hearing in that, something that we should probably call out really loud right now is, this tendency I've been guilty of at getting involved in blockchain, crypto, NFTs. There's that kind of that greed, that, and not saying it's a nasty thing, it's a human nature, right? Like we all are looking for opportunities to break out of this slave economy, to try and liberate ourselves. And it's very easy when you see something like, oh, I can just create, because I had the thought, because it kind of looked like what everyone was doing. And I thought, oh, maybe there's value in that. Okay, I might. And funnily enough, you mentioned Vikings and symbology. My mother is, I'm a half Norwegian, so Norwegian citizen, and
Oh, wow.
and so I've got a strong connection. So my first thought was actually, oh, create a wicked cartoon Viking series, find some people to partner up with, do this. But then I realized that my mindset was incredibly short. It was like, get it, punch it out, people buy it, and then you're done. And then they can trade it and do that. And it's like, it's not. And a lot of people are running that kind of short vision, right? And I think what you're
Mhm.
bringing to the table is think bigger, think longer. This is a long-term game of building a community. And what I'm hearing from what you're sharing is, you know, when you get those 3 NFTs sold, that's not just selling like 3 pieces of art at the markets. You've got 3 community members who have invested in your vision, that have said, I believe in what you're doing. I think this is fascinating. I'm
Yes.
willing to give you money, and here you go. I've got 1,000 different choices I could choose from in the market, and I'm choosing yours. And that means if you build those 3 over time and they keep on growing, you're going to have a hell of a strong community, as opposed to those others who are getting, just wanting to flip, right? And you're going to
Yep,
have the community,
exactly.
yeah. So that's powerful. So really, it's changing the mindset and experimenting. And I guess, Caleb, you're right. I mean, if someone comes to the table right now and says, "Hey, I'm an expert in NFT marketing," it's like it hasn't even been done long enough to have experts.
No, you're right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You're right. Yeah, and I
Awesome.
interview those agencies daily, like and
Yeah.
I'm the one who's supposed to vet them too, if I use them as a service provider for my own clients. And it's there's not much diversification when it comes to marketing at all in this space.
Mm,
There's not much development either, and
yeah.
we're so new. We're incredibly new to what is happening, and it's just like in the past 2 years that we've really seen it blow up.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the only time where we actually get to see, they do scientific studies, right? You got to have a big enough what do you call it, population that you're
Test
testing,
audience.
right? Test
Yep.
audience, yeah. No, absolutely. So just realizing the time sliding on. Okay, I always get lost in these podcasts because I realize that as we talk, you are an amazing man with obviously more going on than just looking at punching out an NFT. So couple of quick questions before I hand you over to Alex. Sorry, Alex, I've got to sneak a few minutes here. First one, what is the best way for people to be getting in touch with you who want to work with you? And by the way, that includes myself, who I wasn't quite fully aware when you talk about the agency and bringing products. I was sitting with my brother just the other night having a sneaky creative joint and talking about our many ideas that we have and one day we'll get to bring into life. And one of them is a gaming, it's a pedal, won't say what it's for, but it's a very innovative use for first person shooters. And we want to bring that. We actually had this exact conversation. What is the process of getting an idea from your head to the market? And so that sounds like what you're saying your company that you're working with specialize in. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah. Um, we yeah, we own a research company, and then we grade how well the market will accept your item, and then we come up with a retail or social media rollout, internet rollout with ads and content. And then based off of the ad spend is how retailers actually choose products to bring into stores, because it's their only way of gauging if it's a successful product. So we connect you then to the retailers, and we also connect you to manufacturers, and we also negotiate at ports if you need faster deliveries or anything. But if you want
Wow.
to, if anyone wants to work with us, I have a link in my bio that goes to all the different buttons that link to different sites, and one of them says work with iconology.io, and you can fill out a form and schedule a call with me and my project manager, or with
Fantastic.
one of our assistants, and we can see if we can work together.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So I'll make sure that link's there as well. And you got it nicely organized. And so and in regards to the NFTs themselves, the NFT project, who is it that you're really kind of speaking to? Who are you wanting to come and join and check out your NFT project, join the community? What kind of people are you looking for?
Yeah, so I'm just looking for, so this first series, these 66 NFTs, I'm looking for people who are willing to take a bet on a really big bet on my project, because these first 66 are the most valuable that I'll ever release. But because it's the first one, you can't really tell how valuable it is up front. I mean, you get monthly free airdrops, but if you look more into the ecosystem that I have, then you can really see the value, and just like the beginning of the value too, because I haven't even
Mm.
brought in my agency into it. I haven't brought in my PR connections or the partner projects that I plan on launching with, because I really want it to be low key. I really want it to be like one of those projects where people go like, "Oh my God, I wish I had bought that crypto punk when I came across it." And so I'm just looking for people that really have money to spend, because I want to have people in my community, and you don't have to buy an NFT to be a part of my community. And I will have NFTs in the future for anyone's price point, but these ones are really meant to be founders of the project, and business investors, and people who are believers in who I am as a person and what I can build. So
Mm.
those are the people I'm looking to sell NFTs to. But anyone should join my community who wants to have a cool little group of people that get high and like tattoos. Yeah,
That's awesome, man. Well, and I saw as well that on your NFT page and the rest that you're welcoming to the Discord group, even if people aren't buying the NFTs, to still be part of the crew. And yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
awesome, man.
absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, I think I'm pretty confident that people have had a good view of who you are, Caleb, where you come from, what you're doing, and I love your work. I'm going to be following from here on, and hope that we get to connect more often. Now, not the end of the podcast, so everyone, make sure you keep watching. Alex is going to come in. He's always got some good fun questions, get to know you a bit better, and then at the end we'll have a couple of last words before we close up. So, thanks, Caleb. Alex, you ready? I'll hand it over to you, my friend.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Marco, so much. For this conversation with Caleb, I think you've covered pretty well his character and his background. So what's left for me is just to talk about some NFT trends and his personal habits and preferences. So, Caleb, before we start, I'd like to make a little notice before it. Feel free to refuse to answer any of my questions, because some of them are going to be very provocative, I believe. So it's okay if you don't want to answer. It's absolutely
Okay.
So let's start talking about your NFT project. How long did it take you to build the concept and launch website, draw the NFT, and make your TikTok channel for this with 100K followers?
Well, it took me over 3 years to build my TikTok channel, and it was not originally an NFT channel. But to build the concept was the hardest part, deciding what my NFT project would be, and that took 8 months. And then building out everything to launch took about, I don't know, like 3 weeks from like when I was like, okay, let's go. and it took 5 team members to do it.
Wow, that's pretty big team for the NFT project, I believe. Okay, how long this NFT project is designed to live? What's your plan? What's your vision?
Oh, forever. It's it's meant to surpass me in my life. It's meant to span communities and not my own. It's meant to be a lot bigger and longer than anything.
Wow, that sounds very cool, man. And it sounds like you have a plan how you're gonna engage the community with the activities inside the project. Is it right?
Definitely. Yep, that is in the plan, and I have a lot of partners and silent partners that I haven't announced yet either, and they're all
Can
super
you
cool
can you
people.
reveal just one little detail, one cool little detail?
Yeah, so my main business partner right now, she's the inventor of the ShamWow, and she's done over $4 billion in sales worldwide. She made her first million when she was like 21. Her name's Lindsay Brooks, and
Wow.
she owns my agency with me. And through her, we have a lot of connections, a lot of projects that we're working on. Some are gold mines, some are supercars, you know, and those, all those people, anyone I work with, if I put it this way, anyone I work with in my agency will always be a partner of my NFT projects that I release. So that's where all the connections come from.
Awesome, man. So after your words, I have huge desire to go and to check my wallet and scrap all the things and pennies that I have to buy one of yours, man. For sure.
Yeah,
Man,
definitely.
if you be honest, how much does this NFT project cost you?
How much did it cost to start?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Like 2,000.
Oh, well, that's pretty good. And I believe 1,000 was for the website, right?
No, I paid someone on Fiverr $150 to come up with a template for me, and then I customized it myself. And most of it went to the artist that designed everything. Like all the images you see on there are custom images, and um, yeah,
Yeah, your
it mostly
NFT,
went to her. Yeah.
your NFT, this video piece is amazing. It's just pure masterpiece, man. Yeah, I really
Thank
love
you. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. A lot of detail went into them. A lot of little inside jokes that I don't think people realize went into that.
Well, you'll definitely create some sort of series on your TikTok channel explaining some of them,
I should, yeah, I should do
or
that.
maybe organizing some sort of mystery discovery in it. And
You're right. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. It's mostly to make myself laugh. So funny.
yeah, and that's the right way to do things when you're doing this for yourself as well, for your pure joy. Otherwise, it's going to be a very boring project if you're not doing this with
Agreed.
passion.
Yes.
Let's talk about your chip. I was shocked when I saw this, and it just, from my point of view, this is the future for NFTs. When you have some sort of chip in your hand, or just a wristband or something like this, when you can just put your digital wallet to some sort of access things, and have an NFT on this wristband on your chip will allow you to go to the club or to go to the concert, something like this. How is it? Do you still have it in your hand?
Yes, I do. Yeah, yeah. So you can't really see it because I have to like push up my muscle just to like feel it and like rub your finger over it. But yeah, it's I mean, it's fine. It only goes to a website, and it permanently goes to the NFT website, because while I was programming it, I messed up, and I didn't know that you could permanently like sever the connection of writing it anymore. So when I scanned it and I was writing it, and I just made it accidentally go to my website forever, and I was like, oh well, I'll just get another one because I'm not going to take this one out. So yeah, it's it will forever go to the Mark of the Beasts, markofbeasts.io, and yeah, that's about it. I mean, I'm gonna have to get another one to like try out the payment system and other stuff, but yeah, it's fine. Everyone asks me if it like comes up on scanners at the airport. It doesn't. Nobody notices, and I can barely scan it with my phone too, like because of how much skin there is and my case on my phone, like being too far from it. So it's actually kind of hard to scan. Yeah, it's all learning experience, man. So I mean, it's chill. It's fine. It only hurt for like a week after installation. It was good, and I can move it around too, and that feels really gross when I do that. So yeah.
Can it serve as a leverage? I mean, as a tool for your wallet. So can you put your wallet in this chip? I mean, crypto wallet.
I don't know if you can put your crypto wallet in it. I know you can put your credit card information in it. So if you get I don't know, like a crypto.com credit card, maybe, I guess,
Yeah.
or crypto based debit card, then yeah, that would work.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you another question about NFTs, and then we'll go discuss some things about yourself. What's your opinion on NFT community in general? Is it supportive, open, and passionate, or it's more closed societies with their own focus on only on their own projects?
The NFT community in general?
Yeah.
Oh man, I think it's changing every day. I think that it's really weird to see that there's a difference between crypto people and NFT people. I think there's this world of, you know, metaverse NFTs and profile picture NFTs and flippers now. Like, I don't think it can be summarized into one like personality because there's so many facets of the NFT world. But I think that there is complacency and people are like, yeah, you know, I made money and, you know, we'll just keep on doing the same thing over and over again. And I think there needs to be more money from outside people who don't actually understand blockchain for it to go further and to grow more. And I don't think that a lot of people are ready for that, but it needs to happen, in my opinion.
It's gonna happen for sure. The most vivid example of it is China that banned all cryptocurrencies, but it does help to develop NFT technology.
Yeah.
Man, so you mentioned some words about metaverse. What's your thoughts on this? Like platforms like Decentraland, Sandbox, have you had?
Yeah, so I think I'm just as sorry, do you want to finish that question?
Yeah, my question was, have you had an opportunity to explore it? I mean, so.
Yeah, so I've been in the metaverse since I don't know, last June or something like that. When I made my first blockchain side hustle video. And I think the metaverse is overhyped term that has billions of dollars of marketing behind it, and it's just their people's way of understanding like digital ownership. I think I agree with everyone in saying that Mark Zuckerberg does not own it, and you know, he's the reason why everyone knows about the word. And there was metaverses way before him. I think the metaverse is life changing of digital ownership and what's possible, and that's, I just think it's insane that you can live and work in the metaverse. I'm still baffled by that. I'm still baffled by the people I meet that do that. And I think that my favorite against everyone. I know people hate this, but my favorite metaverse is Facebook Horizons, and it's barely even a metaverse because there's no crypto integration or NFT integration, but they have plans in the future too. But it's the most real version of what everyone assumes the metaverse to be. And people don't know this yet, but it came out of beta right after, about a month after Mark Zuckerberg said that we're now Meta, and it was a super soft launch, but it had been in beta for a year on Oculus. And so I got in, and it's the real, it's like, I don't know, I've like gotten girls' numbers there. I've been to clubs there. I've been like to parties there. And it's the realest, most real version of what I wanted to see when I did go into Decentraland, when I did go in Crypto Voxels and Sandbox. It's what I expected. And that's how it feels. And the community there is super strong outside of Mark Zuckerberg's influence. It's taken on its whole personality by the people who have adopted it. And that's the one I love the most, just because of the people that I've met. And I've met full-time world creators there. And it's the only world builder that you can build worlds completely for free and however many you want. And that's what I love the most about it. So that's the metaverse I love the most and have most experience with. I spend like 4 hours every night in it, studying people and recording videos and just understanding how people act there. But yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Wow, thank you, man, for sharing your metaverse love. I'll definitely check it out for myself a little bit later. But in your opinion, what's more mature in terms of development? Is it NFT or metaverse or not?
What's more built out?
Mature, I mean, is more.
Oh, like in terms of acceptance?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think NFTs are more acceptable for sure. Just because if the ways that I think about NFTs are, I've come across retail systems of tracking the like, I'm working with a company right now where they want to track where the cotton comes from that makes jeans, and they want to do that through a logistics program with NFTs where people scan it like a barcode, and it's like minted on the blockchain every time there's a change. And I think those can easily be integrated into what we already have in terms of systems, way easier than a metaverse, because a metaverse is like completely foreign. There's movies about how crazy it would be if we fully adopted that. But this barcode could be an NFT for all we know, but we don't have to call it an NFT. And people can have NFTs without knowing they have NFTs, because it's the tech of how it works with the blockchain. So I think it's easier to adopt in that way.
Yeah, that's absolutely what I wanted to hear, because I have pretty the same way of thoughts on how NFT is going to be developed, and I do believe the logistics and supply chain is the next big thing for NFT for sure to adopt, and it's going to change the whole game. When you have when the factory produced a good and it has a mark code or barcode, which refers to the blockchain to the NFT on blockchain, and you can trace the whole trail of your goods from the factory to your home via RFID and so on and so on, so forth. That's going to change the whole game.
Absolutely.
Attitude to NFT in general. And the reason why I was asking this question for you is I wanted to explore with you and to discuss the NFT trend as general for the society. So NFT projects is all about capitalization game, right? And increasing it by any means. In the first wave, it was all done by proposing beautiful arts and generative arts like people, NFT, like Etherrocks or CryptoPunks. And now it's more about whole ecosystem around NFTs, where beautiful pictures is just a part of the project that serves as a nice cover for privileges that the person gets by buying NFTs. And this is exactly what you are doing with your NFT project. What do you think about this trend, and what's the next big thing in the NFT space for you?
Yeah, so I think ecosystems are the future of NFTs because it's just like I said this in a video the other day. It's like Supreme is how we're marketing NFT projects, but we're not using it like Amazon. And it's like saying like you go to Amazon and you buy these headphones and they're never gonna update. They're never gonna come out with a new version. And you're gonna buy that one Kickstarter project. And it's just a cool little novelty of like never updating, never doing anything else. But what we're investing in is the Walmarts of the world that will come out with a lot of different items and own a lot of different categories. And I think ecosystems are what real Web3 social media is when I heard about social media in Web3, everyone's like, oh, well, it's actually social media that you own. And the more that I learn about ecosystems and NFTs, the more I see that that's actually what it is just like we choose to go to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, there's going to be massive NFT communities and ecosystems where you own the social media and owning it is the NFT, and your community that's on Discord, that is one social media for you that you're a part owner in. You have a vote in what's changing. And it's not the typical way that I think that a platform will be like, oh yeah, like we're just going to log into boardapeyyachtclub.com. It's more so like this is where they hang out, and then I choose to be with the Bored Apes when I want to go to parties for this specific thing. But I'm also going to join the Mark of the Beasts when I just feel like chilling, and that's going to be where I spend 90% of my time. And so I think if you plan to have an ecosystem, then you're planning to scale, and every business owner should plan to scale. And it's only fair to assume that if you're going to take people's money for a product that you're selling, instead of actually just using it for yourself and your own, and not thinking about how to grow it, because a typical business, we take all the profit and then we reinvest it, and then we keep on growing it until we're able to eventually sell it, or just keep on growing it in general and taking out more profits as we go. And so I'm applying what I know in business to NFTs, and that's why I think the NFT ecosystems in general are the future, because that's how I envision it. And I think the biggest trend right now is DAOs mixing with NFTs. The more I research about DAOs, the more I see that we went through a real mess with DAOs last year, and I see a lot of development in the DAO space and how it's helping a lot of things get past loopholes, and what everyone thinks they're trying to create with NFTs is already built into DAOs from what I've experienced. We're like, oh, what if an NFT did that? Well, a DAO probably does that, and it probably has the utility already built in. Oh, and it's already legal in the US to create a DAO LLC. Like, it's already been developed in the background, and they're just now starting to get adopted into NFT projects. And I think that's the next biggest trend.
Wow, man, I have no words. Based on what you have said, we need a lot of DAO CEOs to bring up. We need training, we need courses about DAOs, and I think you're definitely one of the guys who can pave the way for it, for sure.
That is actually something I'm working on. I'm working on a free course, and then a bunch of courses to launch out after that. But DAOs are one of them. And yes, I plan on doing that for sure.
You see, I see through you, man. I feel your vibe.
Bro, yeah,
Yeah, and you mentioned about social media. So what you are doing is you are using TikTok and Facebook as a basic and major marketing tool for your projects, and it's definitely much better than any Web3 social media right now, because in Web3 it's almost impossible to have a good marketing due to the lack of marketing tools, which are based on data of the users. And in Web3 we don't have this kind of relationship between social media and users own their own data. So my question is just in general, do you believe in Web3 social media, and would you consider to create your own account there.
Absolutely. Yes, I do believe in Web3 social media, and I am creating my own with the Mark of the Beasts and what I assume Web3 social media to be, which is a community where you can become a part owner in the social aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a little promotion from our native platform. Take a look at the Decentralized Social and check it out. And if you love it, create an account, and we are happy to help, to consult or something like this. We'll try to connect you with some outstanding NFT projects in the space as well. Because, for example, Sacred Skulls has the same passion about philosophy, mythology, and so on and so forth. They are more about Egyptian style, but yeah, they have this narrative in the NFT project as well, and I think it's going to be great for you to see them.
Is it deso.org?
Yeah, it's a main site of blockchain, and on this blockchain you have different apps like social media apps, and the most used is Diamond app, Diamond app dot or Diamond dot app, right?
Diamond.app.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking it up right now. What exactly what you said. Okay, cool. I'm checking it out for sure.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm here to help. So let's jump in discovering your personality and about your preferences. This is the most favorite platform. What do you like doing in your spare time?
I really like getting super high and going to the Las Vegas Strip.
Wow, man. My man. Whom would you want to see in your 66 witnesses among all people in the world?
Probably Gary Vee.
Yeah,
He's the guy who got me on TikTok and who I've been listening to for about 5 years now. So it'd mean a lot if he thought that, because I know he invests in regular projects, but also ones that he thinks are pushing the edges of the NFT space. So it would mean a lot if he thought that about mine.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a great visionary for the industry, for sure, man. He was one of the most early adopters, pushing
Exactly.
crypto funds and other projects to create us. You seem to be a guy who reads books a lot. What's your favorite book right now?
I'm reading the 48 Laws of Power right now.
Stephen Cohen?
I don't. It's on audiobook, so I never know the author. It's a book about how to be a psychopath. Honestly.
It's a
by Robert Greene. It tells you how in history people have used these laws of power to get their way, and I mean with the people I surround myself with, you got to watch your fucking back. So I'm always studying psychology and how people act with each other and the nuances of it. So that's why I'm reading it.
Wow, man, this is the topic that you should discuss with Mark on a separate podcast as well, because Mark is all about psychology as well. Spirit.
Oh, let's go, bro. Let's go.
Do you believe in this is another question for you. What's your favorite beverage for the good evening? Juice, vodka, whiskey?
What's my favorite alcohol?
Beverage. If you drink alcohol, it can be alcohol.
I gotta tell you, my favorite alcohol is chartreuse, and some rich dude bought me a shot once, and it was the craziest experience I've ever had, because chartreuse has wormwood in it, and it's a pea vodka. and or liquor, and it's only known by 3 monks, and they have a vow of silence, and they wrote it down. It's split into 3 papers, and it's been carried for over 300 years. And their factories have been burnt and everything, but it has wormwood in it, which is the same thing that makes you trip when you have absinthe. But it's legal in America because of the whole nuance, or the whole thing with the recipe and the monks. So America hasn't really vetted everything in terms of the ingredients. So that's my favorite drink when I go out.
It seems your dog is excited to hear about it, and once it heard about it, she wants to try it as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, man, you've got pretty rich experience in it, man. I'm jealous.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Okay, man. My last question for you. So, do you have a vision for Web3 in general? What is going to be for the society and the world in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I hope that the world adopts it, like social media and how fast it was adopted, and smartphones. Because we can all remember when we had flip phones, but we can't remember really like how fast the switch was to smartphone. What, like, it was just such a novel thing. Everyone's like, yeah, I gotta have that. But there wasn't really like a short transition period. Like, the short transition period was the basics of phones. And then boom, Apple comes out and like, whoa, this is of course, this is what we've been waiting for this whole time. And so I think that we're in that flip phone phase of NFTs. And I hope it becomes the smartphone phase of NFTs in the next 5 years, because there has to be some way. I just feel like we're only 10% of the way of what we could really achieve with NFTs and Web3 in general and blockchain. And there's going to be something that is going to make everyone jump on it. That's just so easy to understand, and they don't have to worry about how it works, but it will be used in everyday life. And that's what I think will happen.
Are you ready to spend your next 3 years on a blockchain?
Am I ready?
Yeah.
To spend the next 3 years on yeah, I think I would assume so. I'd hope so.
Okay, man. Beautifully said, eloquently phrased. I'm just blown away. And this is all answers that I wanted to get from you. Thank you so much for sharing it. And to be honest, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, awesome, Alex. Thank you very much, my friend. Everything is always, what is that old quote? Into the Wild, I think it was. Happiness is only real when it's shared. It comes from one of those old books. It's a beautiful thing when we get to create this and find good people together, right? So Caleb, thank you so much for joining us today. I want to kind of close out with a little note that you've got on your website here. So everyone, please do make sure you go check out Mark of the Beast NFT collection and community from Caleb Roberts. It is markofthebeast.io. You can see on the screen right now. And check it out. Spend some time. Check out his ecosystem. Have a look. If you're into NFTs, if you're minting NFTs, if you're building your own community, go check it out. Check out what he's doing. You've got it all out there, Caleb, so people can really learn. Just from being, being a part of that experience. And I just wanted to share here, before we get some last words from you, Caleb, a note from your website. So it says, a note from Caleb. When leaving a cult, you lose what you thought was your family, that core group of individuals you vibed with. In my previous cult, you could move anywhere in the world and find large communities of my cult present within that city or country. So that was the Mormons. This was a privilege of that cult, and I really missed that I could easily create a network of support for myself with like-minded individuals. So MOTB, Mark of the Beast, is the communal place I decided to create for myself and my type of people. And I wanted to read that, Caleb, because I thought it really captures the essence of what is underlying all of this here. And I've been very passionate about redefining words as opposed to censoring and making things illegal. And I see that's very much in your writings as well, about redefining and taking our power back. And And cult was one of them, because people used to call me a cult leader because I would have very strong opinions about something, and people would appreciate them and explore them themselves, and it would hurt. It would be really challenging, and so I explored that a lot. And then my contemplations led me to this idea that, well, a cult is a gathering of people that have shared beliefs and thoughts. So they're everywhere. They're not inherently bad. They're a nature of human existence. And a cult leader is somebody who is part of creating the culture, is part of weaving and exploring and bringing, and then culture itself, which culture is from the word cult. Culture itself are the adornments of the cult. It's the byproducts of that belief system. It's the way we express ourselves in these different ways. And so really bringing it back to that, really seeing that you are an amazing cult leader, Caleb. You are doing it in the most organic, authentic, beautiful way, transparently. And I love how you do it with humor. Your website is very, tongue-in-cheek, cult leader, this is a cult. And it's like, well, it is, but it's a cult where you're free. And I love what you're doing. So Caleb, thank you. Are there any last words to the community before we close off the podcast?
Yeah, I guess just don't worry about what other people think. And if you believe in what makes you happy, then just continue doing it. Because at the end of the day, if you believe in yourself, that's all that matters. And not if someone else believes in you. Just keep on going with it.
Boom. That's beautiful, man. All right, Caleb, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, please do check it out. Join the Discord group, and I'll see you in there. I'm already in the Discord. So looking forward to more conversations, Caleb, as we go forwards and watching your project evolve. You are an inspiration. Thanks for watching,
Absolutely.
everyone. Thanks for watching, everyone. Really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Caleb. And we'll see you in the next episode.